but it is time for the Aerial ESX 2022 second season 450 main event. On the gate tonight, we have Wheels, Hurls, Dirteen, Aiden, Dad Shoes, Greg the Legend, Moreno, Aiden, Lemunyon, Minnie, Skills, Reese, Linz, Jack, Boardman, Hart, Cole, Carlos, Rum, Rubes, your previous championship winner and the holder of the red and number 1 plate. Next to him lining up is Jones and McChicken. So here we go, guys. The 15-second board is sideways, and the gate is down. Who is going to get the whole shot here? Dad Shoes holding up a little bit and cutting left, trying to get an early start. But it's going to be Jack on the Mick Creations Husqvarna who gets out front early. Hart had a good run in the LCQ, as you saw, and is now up into the number 2 spot. Boardman with the Pin Performance team sitting in third, and it's Linz, the People's Champ, sitting in fourth. In fifth, you have Dirteen, Reese, Lemunyon, Aiden, and the pack starts to die off because of how chaotic it was in the start. McChicken deep in the pack, There's Dad Shoes, Wheels. All right, it's still Jack up front. Hart in second as Hart goes down. Boardman and Linz both get around him. We have a bar-to-bar battle for the second place spot as Boardman makes a mistake and swaps. Linz going to get around, but look at all the mistakes happening. Jack goes down. Linz bobbles trying to avoid a crash, and it is back to whole shot placement here, pretty much. 4 wide in this corner as Boardman finds his way up into the number 1 spot. Jack trying to pressure him now as they come across the finish line. First to the finish line is over. We officially begin lap number 1. Let's go on board with Boardman here. Get my cams about me. All right, and as I mentioned earlier, we do have some very nice cameras for the race. We have a Spider Cam, which I will be using pretty frequently. But yes, Jack on the Mick Creations Husqvarna, no surprise to see him out front in the number 1 spot. Boardman sits in 2. Lemunyon, his teammate on the Pin Performance ride, comes up in 3rd, trying not to get into it with Linz as Linz makes a pass around the outside, finds himself into a podium position, but look at the list of riders he has barking down his back. Aiden with the Apex Motorsports, another front runner in our LCQ, finds himself up in the top 5 as Lemunyon makes a pass through the whoops. Hart dives to the inside, tries to make his way around, but can't make a pass stick. Greg the Legend trying to get some speed into that rhythm section, makes a mistake and goes off track. A lot of bobbles are going to happen in the back there. Let's see if we have a helmet cam for Linz here, as we do. Boardman almost goes over the bars coming out of that rhythm, or that whoop section, sorry, and allows Linz to catch up. So here we go, a 3-way battle for the number 1 spot. Let's go back. No, we don't have helmet cams for Lemunyon yet. Jack slows up a little bit through that rhythm section. I don't know if he almost caught the single out there and had to slow up or what, but Boardman closes a gap on him, as does Linz. So let's go back out for the 3-way battle. Let's check our race cams here. Lap times, I know during qualifying, pretty much all of these guys that you're going to see up in the front were running sub 1 minute, very much so, 54s, 55s, maybe even 53. So we'll check lap times here in just a little bit after they catch up. But it's Boardman who makes a pass around Jack for the number 1 spot, moves his way up in the front, putting Pin Performance on top. Jack still sitting in 2nd, Linz in 3rd. Lemunyon is the only person who is here to challenge that position. Oh no, he wheelies into the whoops and goes down off track, giving that spot up to Greg the Legend, putting Moto Mart in the number 4 spot. Lemunyon's able to get back on because of the gap behind these guys, but Aiden on the Apex Motorsports ends up getting around. So Jack makes a mistake, ends up losing a position to Linz. Boardman still sitting in the number 1 spot. We're going to stick with this top 3 battle here for a little bit because it's just too intense to ignore. And look at all the riders in the back. You can see Chicken still buried in the pack back there, gets pushed off track by Skills. Jack makes a mistake after that whoop section again and goes down. So we are going to see a 1-2 battle between Boardman and Linz. These guys were battling it out in qualifying, trying to get the fastest time. Fortunate for them both, they get clean starts up front, and we get to see the battle. 16 minutes left on the clock here as we still have plenty of racing in the 450 main, but these guys are keeping it clean and consistent, checking out early. Looking at the timing and scoring on the left side, you can see that Jack is still 5 seconds back, Greg 7, but they have put 5th place and back in the field more than 10 seconds behind. Linz and Boardman are on a mission right now. Linz makes a little bit of a mistake, but suspension manages to keep the 450 moving forward. Doesn't quad in. He does triple-double. Maybe these guys are just taking safe lines here for the race. But man, if it comes down to it, we know that they've got that trick in their back pocket. Look at the gap already. This is Linz battling with Boardman for the first place spot, and Greg the Legend still hasn't even reached the whoop section in third. Jack has now fallen back to fourth, being pressured by Lemunyan, Carlos, Hart, and Rubes. As I mentioned earlier, your red plate and number one holder as he won the Aerial 450 class last season. Greg getting into it with Jack there, as Jack was able to close a gap and make up some time and get around quite a few people, but gets into it with Greg in the 90, or the bull turn before the finish line, and Greg manages to hold on. He's now being pressured by Lemunyan. Rubes has now moved past Hart, Hurls, and Carlos. Let's see if we can go on board with Rubes here for just a moment. Yeah, Jesse, the spider cams are amazing. And I think Stone Rider said you made them, so I appreciate that. Let's go back in and check with Boardman and Lemunyan, or sorry, Boardman and Linz. Still holding on. 0.7 seconds separating the two of them. 6 minutes already gone by in this 20-minute main. It's actually crazy how fast time flies. All right, now, Linz trying to get over Boardman there. Sends it a little bit much, but manages to keep it clean. Best lap time for Boardman right now is a 56.2. 56.2 for Linz as well. These might as well be the same rider on this track with how similar they are. Linz trying to close this gap and trying to figure out where he can make a pass on Boardman. I have a feeling that if Linz can get around Boardman, he can put the pressure on and check out. Both of them make a mistake in the end of that whoop section there and almost go over, but keep it clean. Boardman able to get his lines after taking the inside. But look, Jack is still a full rhythm section back, sitting in third. Lemunyan still feeling the pressure from Greg the Legend and Rubes. So now the top 10 is starting to feel like the top 10. Boardman, Linz, Jack, Rubes, Lemunyan, and Greg all trying to get up front and catch Linz and Boardman. Need to get Linz skin. I don't know why it didn't work, but you can see Dad Shoes really just not having a good time as he is in dead last. I don't know if he had a lap not count, if he got booted off track or what, but this is completely uncharacteristic of Dad Shoes to see him so far down. Excuse me. And down bad. But man, this battle between Linz and Boardman is just not letting up. Thank you, Resolute. As he mentions, Cole has the fastest lap right now with a 55.5, so Cole is hard charging through this pack, trying to figure out what he can do to make it up front, as he's currently sitting in 16th according to timing and scoring. You can see on the left there in the timing and scoring box that Boardman and Linz have put a 13-second gap on the nearest rider. It's really just, this is the Boardman and Linz story. I'll try to pay respects and give some screen time to some of these other riders, but you've got literally a 1-2 battle between two of the fastest riders in the 450 class at Anaheim 1. This is what we want to see. Both riders opting to take the outside there and try to blitz through these whoops. Linz just kind of latching onto Boardman here and following him through. Linz not able to get over the table cleanly as Boardman does, so Boardman checks out a little bit and puts some gap between him, but one mistake and Linz is going to be there. Just under 11 minutes now remaining. And let's see. Yeah, there is your number 3 rider, Jack, still 13 seconds back. So really not much has changed. Let's double check here as Greg the Legend is in 4th. Rubes in 5th, still giving him some pressure. Lemunyan trying to wheelie through the whoops. Commentator's curse as he goes down again in the 6th place spot. Here comes Hurls and Aiden on the K-Bell Racing team in 8th. Carlos in 9th. And it's Reese battling with Hart for a top 10 position. Aiden trying to get around Lemunyan. Hurls has kind of come out of nowhere for me. I'm not familiar with who he is, but you can't deny that he's fast if he's holding positions above some of these other guys. 10.5 minutes left on the clock. Lynn's still trying to figure out how he can get around. They're going to start getting into lap traffic soon. They have not yet lapped Wheels, but here is Wheels just after the Supercross triple. The amount of lap traffic that these guys are about to find themselves in could be very good or very bad. And Lynn's must have made a mistake and gone down because Dad Shoes has now passed him. You can see the gap that he has. But look here. There is your number one rider of Boardman. And here are all the riders that he is about to start getting into. So he is going to have to navigate this traffic very cleanly, or Lynn's is going to have plenty of opportunity to catch up to him. Right now they've kind of been on an island by themselves. Even behind them is pretty bare. But there is the majority of riders in this race. So we'll come back and check on Lynn's and see what progression he has made in catching up to Boardman soon. Keeping an eye on timing and scoring. We can see as soon as he crosses the finish line here that he has now a 4.2 second gap to overcome. Greg the Legend is going to cross the finish line in third. Jack now falls back to fourth. And Rubes is now holding on to the top 5 spot, being pressured by Hurls, although I believe he just made it around Hurls for that position. Aiden still trying to battle with LeMunyon here. Reese side by side with Moreno as they come into the rhythm section here. Moreno keeping it clean, choosing not to block past Reese there, or not take an option to do so. So Reese will come across in 11th and 12th with Moreno. Man, Boardman is just keeping it super clean and consistent. His last lap was a 58. He still has not bested his best lap of a 56.2, but you can see he's keeping it within that 2nd to 2 second range. So really interested to see what he's going to do as soon as he comes into lap traffic here. As the next person in line is Hart, battling with Wheels as they have just landed the Supercross triple, and Boardman is hitting it now with Dad Shoes. So Lynn's kind of on an island by himself as Greg's trying to do what he can to catch up. Greg's fastest lap, a 55.4. His last, a 55.8. Lynn's last lap, a 59.6. So Greg might have the speed to start closing the gap. He's got plenty of time left to make up. Let's see, what is this? 6 seconds, according to timing and scoring. So maybe by the end of the race, if nothing else occurs, if no other obstacles appear, if lap traffic is not an issue for these guys, maybe we can see Greg catch up to Lynn's by the end of the race, but only time will tell. Boardman now working his way through that lap traffic. As we mentioned, he comes across the finish line now. They're past Wheels. But how will he fare against Hart, Cole, Minnie, Jones? A lot of big names that we're used to seeing in the 450 main. Bikes kind of flying everywhere in some of these cases. Thank you guys for the follows. I will shout everybody out as soon as this race is over. Let's take a look here at Lynn's now as Lynn's makes his way between Cole and Wheels, splitting the lanes here as they kind of collide. Wheels crashes to the inside, Cole flops to the outside of the berm, and Lynn's makes it through cleanly. So good luck for him there. Who's up next on Boardman's hit list? Minnie, Jones, Aiden. Dirteen is battling with McChicken now. You even see Skills back here in 14th. A lot of uncharacteristic riding by a lot of these guys. Maybe it's the fact that they haven't really raced. Well, I won't say that they haven't raced Supercross. Everybody who has been ready for aerial has been grinding out the old tracks, public lobbies on them, hosting daddies on them for practice. So I think everybody was ready for Supercross. Maybe it's nerves, maybe it's slight changes to the way that Stone Rider did the aerial track this year or the Anaheim track. I don't know. It could be anything, but not really used to seeing McChicken, Skills, Dirteen, and especially Dad Shoes and Cole outside of the top 10. That's crazy. Anything can happen this year, and as I was talking about earlier during the LCQ, man, the 450 class is stacked this year. All right, here we go. Lynn's has now caught back up to Boardman. I think Boardman might have gone down. That or Dad Shoes passed him, just flexing. But nevertheless, your 1 and 2 riders are 1 and 2 again. 5 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. Already 3/4 of this 450 main are gone. So it is crunch time. And technically, Boardman has cut. So Linz is actually sitting in the number 1 spot according to timing and scoring, which is good news for Linz. It means he doesn't necessarily have to find his way around Boardman. He just has to tether on and hold on to his back tire long enough for him to overcome Boardman's position at the checkered. But knowing Linz, if he can get around Boardman, he's going to take that opportunity and he's going to try to check out, that way further solidifying his victory here at Anaheim 1. Let's take another look here. Actually, I know Boardman doesn't have a helmet cam, so let's go on board with Linz. Boardman gets a little squirrely. Linz trying to overjump him there. Side by side as we come onto the table and off. Oh no, lap traffic in the corner. Linz takes it wide, manages to nearly miss a bike, but look, there is Boardman who manages to cut to the inside. It looked like he cut to the inside underneath those bikes and still got a good drive through that rhythm section. So good on Boardman for thinking on his feet and managing to stay up here in the battle. Got to get through the rhythm section clean. So as Linz makes his way around Boardman now, he does have an opportunity to check out and make up some time. I don't know if there are hotkeys for the added cameras. Some of the hotkeys on the keyboard will allow you to go to helmet cams, auto cams. Oh no! It looked like Linz squeezed a little bit too much front brake there and almost tucked the front, and then the back end came sliding out around. I don't know if that is what happened. It could have been something else, but that's what it looked like. And Boardman is able to capitalize on that mistake and take over the number 1 spot again. So Pinned Performance finding their way back into the number 1 spot. Pinned Performance riders in the pits right now, fist pumping for their boy. We'll see what the gap is as soon as they come across the finish here. 3.5 minutes left, only a few laps remaining. All right, 2.8 seconds between Linz and Boardman. So for all you Linz fans, he's got to figure out something as he goes down in the whoops right at the end, almost takes Dad's shoes out with him. Man, Linz made a critical mistake there and is going to lose even more time just before a section where Boardman is able to get on the pipe and start checking out. So not the best place to fall, but I guess maybe not the worst. Boardman trying to navigate around Carlos right now. Let's see who he's got in front of him. He's going to have to deal with Jones. I don't know if Boardman is going to catch up to Chicken and Reese before this race is over, but we could see it. Nevertheless, again, just uncharacteristic riding, or at least pole positions for these guys, as we are used to seeing Chicken and Reese up front. Boardman has caught up to these two now, manages to get around them cleanly. Linz still having some issues back here trying to catch up. So Boardman crosses the finish line in first. Once again, we will see what the gap is when Linz comes across. 5.3 seconds, so he's really got his work cut out for him if he wants to close that gap. 13. See, here's Greg the Legend in third, battling. Oh, Greg the Legend also has cuts, so Rube's technically sitting in third, but he is, I'm sorry, technically sitting in fourth, but he's in third physically, so Jack there in fifth. So we still have a three-way battle for the podium spot between Greg, Rubes, and Jack as Greg makes a mistake, not able to clear the Supercross triple. Very bad place to go down. There go Jack and Rubes moving up into the 3 and 4 spot. So a side-by-side battle. Oh no, Rubes makes another big mistake in the same place that Linz did and goes down. So Jack is the only person to keep his wits about him and stay up on two wheels, grabbing that third place spot and trying to not let it go. Boardman now gets around Jones. Linz kind of sitting here by himself, just in a clean track, trying to run laps and catch up. So let's see as he crosses the finish line. His last lap was a 1 minute flat, almost. Boardman still running 58s. So Boardman's got a little more speed right now than Linz, which is going to make it even harder. Linz might be dealing with some pressure. I hope he's not tilted right now, but it can affect you mentally when you're up front like that, racing for the lead, taking the lead, and then find yourself in an unfortunate situation. We've all been there, and we know how it feels to kind of get demotivated mid-race. So hopefully Linz can lock in and at least just maintain his second place spot right now. I don't think Jack is anywhere close enough right now to pressure as you see him come across the right side of the screen. But Greg has now caught up to Jack after that mistake before the Supercross triple and is trying to pressure him. So let's go on board with Greg. So officially, Greg coming across the finish line in the 4th place spot. Rubes just now crosses the finish line, 10 seconds behind Greg. So would like to see Rubes hold on to the number 5 spot. I think Rubes has it in him to battle again for a number 1 plate this year. But Anaheim 1 has just not been the best to him. So, but you know the statement or the saying: championships are won on your bad days. So all he needs to do is just damage control, get as many points as he can. Man, Dad Shoes is really just not letting up off of Boardman. I really feel like Dad Shoes his lap didn't count, and I think at this point he's probably just hoping that maybe that's something that can get sorted out and fixed, and he feels like he is really battling right now for the spot. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe he's just out here and he doesn't really care, and he's just racing. But knowing Dad Shoes and knowing his battle with Rubes last season, and how close they were in their championship run, Dad Shoes has it in him to win it this year. So, I mean, obviously he's here holding on. He's tethered on to Boardman and just won't let him go. So we'll figure out what happened to Dad Shoes eventually or after the race. But for right now, it's a pretty good battle between them as they are coming up to lap traffic. Wheels ahead of them, and Hart. So as we cross the finish line here, white flag is out for your race leader, Boardman, on the Pin Performance gas machine. Lynn still not very far behind him, but 4.3 seconds is a lot to overcome, so he's really going to have to bank on a mistake from Boardman, which could happen. He does have 2 riders in front of him that he's going to have to get around. Dad Shoes, he might not get around Dad Shoes. The way Dad Shoes has been riding this whole moto, or this whole main event, he might just kind of check out on Boardman right now, and that's okay, because according to timing and scoring, Boardman's in the 1st place spot, and that's all that really matters to him. But Lynn's is going to have to pray for Boardman's downfall if he wants to catch up. Dad Shoes getting around Hart and Wheels as he's just kind of hard charging and doing his own thing. But last rhythm section for Boardman on the Pin Performance machine as he comes into the final turn, and the checkered flags are waving for your Anaheim 1 race winner, Boardman. In the number 2 spot, crossing the finish line, is Linz on the Mick Creations Husqvarna. And it looks like his teammate Jack is going to take the 3rd and final podium position, unless there's something unfortunate with cuts here. And there is not. So Greg comes across in 4th. And where is Rubes? Rubes has fallen back, so I don't think he's going to be in 5th. It might be Hurls who takes the number 5 spot. And there it is. What a ride, man. Like I said, I'm not familiar with Hurls. Maybe he's a big name in the community and I've just been living under a rock. But coming out of nowhere and getting top 5 in the Aerial 450 main is a big deal. LeMunion in 6th, Aiden in 7th. Rubes, with unfortunate circumstances in those last few laps, comes across the finish line in 8th. It is Moreno in 9th. And Reese, who rounds out your top 10. So we did see Chicken and Reese pretty far down the list earlier, and Reese managed to come in with some damage control and finish in a top 10, which is good. McChicken in 11th, Rum in 12th, Skills in 13th. Very crazy. So we'll see what happened with Dad Shoes. I'll be interested to know personally, but yeah, very good racing by Boardman and Linz. And once again, I do appreciate everybody showing up. It's been a long time since I've been back in the commentary booth, but I do plan to be here every Friday to do the Aerial 450 main, so I appreciate you sticking out with me. I'm going to have to get my studio mic back out and make the quality a little better. But yeah. So that is it. There concludes your race day for round 1 of the Aerial Championship here in MX Bikes. Now tonight we will have the